welcome to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. I want to talk to you about something I read last week in the industry. An interior designer was arrested. 9 charges: grand theft, diversion of construction funds. A client handed her, apparently, $67,500 for a kitchen and 3 bathrooms, and she strung that client along for nearly a year and then disappeared. What's even crazier, this same designer, in an earlier dispute, a lawsuit alleges that she took $30,000 into what was supposed to be a protected reserve account and never gave it back. Now, before I say one other word, let's be absolutely in agreement. If this turns out to be proven that this is a crime, plain English, anyone accused and convicted of what she's accused of doing would certainly deserve every consequence coming their way. So, here's the thing. After that story ran, a design industry outlet reported on the story, adding some of the comments from Instagram by consumers. One commenter wrote, "These are professional thieves. Do a background check and a criminal history before checking or signing anything." Another wrote, "Shady designers who pad the markup on products and lie about it." And one comment went further than the rest. All interior designers bilk clients. Now, that was the public reacting, not the journalist in this article that I'm talking about's conclusion, but it is what the article chose to include and amplify. Then this industry article moved into interviewing a handful of respected designers about how they handle client money. They also spoke with a business consultant in the industry, and that particular consultant recommended that designers set up accounts that give clients view-only access to their money. Okay, so what the consultant is saying is that for every client you have a separate sub-bank account that it's you and that client in that bank account. It's view-only, but they're in your bank. And then another designer in the piece described giving clients full access to a dedicated bank account. Here's the thing that has me perplexed, and I'm going to say a bit riled. The article's own words are, quote, "Stories like this undoubtedly give designers a bad name." Okay, fair enough. But watch what happens next in the article. From that one sentence, the piece moves directly into profile after profile of interior designers explaining how much of their pricing they disclose, cost breakdowns, net price, and shared bank accounts, framed almost entirely as the fix for the trust problem the arrest created. A felony and a pricing philosophy treated back to back as if one is the natural next question after the other? That's not something I'm inferring. That's the actual structure of the piece. And it never once stops to say that those things actually have nothing to do with each other. So, to be clear, I'm not picking a bone that a crime in our industry got covered by our industry. It should be. We need to know. We need to be vigilant. But combining the reporting of a felony and talking about how fees are handled in the industry, it does not add up for me. Think about it like this. A burglar breaks into a home on your street. One newspaper reports the facts, what was taken, what they know about the burglar, his priors, how he got in the house, the potential penalties that the burglar faced. That's the story. Now imagine if the piece, instead about catching him or helping the rest of the block protect themselves, imagine the story is about the townspeople. Why do so many people in this town keep their blinds closed? Do you lock your doors when you leave? Doesn't it make people wonder what you're hiding? Aren't you encouraging people to steal from you if your window shades are closed? Wouldn't the street feel safer, more trustworthy, if everyone just left their drapes open so people could see inside whatever they wanted to see and they weren't tempted? You'd think that was insane, because locking your door isn't suspicious activity. It's normal. It has nothing to do with the burglar, and it never did. And that's pretty much what happened in this article. One interior designer committed a felony, and instead of the piece staying on her, maybe talking about others in the industry have done this, right? It turned into a conversation about whether the rest of the industry should keep their blinds open. Basically asking whether declining to hand over your net cost is the thing making people suspicious of the design industry. It's backwards logic. One person's crime became the excuse to question everyone else's ordinary, reasonable privacy. So you might be saying, LuAnn, if you're so hot and bothered by this, what do you think should have happened? Well, I'm happy you asked. Because here's what I would have liked in this article. I would have liked an education, not on pricing models, not on how consumers can protect themselves from the evil interior designers, but on how consumers can protect themselves from criminals, regardless of their profession. That's a completely different conversation. So how do you actually do that as a consumer? You might be asking yourself, or me, okay? You already know. Take your designer hat off for a second and be the consumer you are in your day-to-day life. Say you need to hire a roofer. What due diligence do you typically do? Well, here's some of the things that you probably do. You look them up on the Better Business Bureau. You check their Google reviews. You look at their website for evidence of real completed projects and testimonials from real humans. You look for professional affiliations, like if it's a roofer, you're looking for the NAHB or the NRCA. You check whether they have degrees or certifications relevant to their work. You'd ask for actual references. And you'd ask your neighbors and friends, have they ever heard of this company? Have they ever hired them? Sounds reasonable, sounds responsible, sounds plausible, doesn't it? Of course it does. Now, put your designer hat back on with me for a minute. What does this look like for you? How can a consumer genuinely determine whether you personally are trustworthy as a business owner? Let's list all the ways. If you have a design degree, tell me that. And if instead or addition to a design degree, you have a degree in finance, tell me that. You have a degree in psychology, tell me that. A degree in sociology, tell me that. Because these things say something real about you that has nothing to do with your markup or your fee structures. If you have design certifications or CEUs or technical courses you've completed, tell me that. If you belong to trade organizations, IDS, ASID, NKBA, NAHB, tell me that. Do you write for the industry, speak for the industry, or has your work been published? Tell me that. Give me your references and testimonials. All of these things build credibility. And newsflash, none of these has anything to do with telling me with quote-unquote transparency the net cost of the products you sell through your business. And I just want to take a side moment to say, as far as the references and testimonials go, please always know they can come from more than just your clients. They can come from your trade partners too. Ask the GC you work with. Ask your electrician, your painter, your window treatment provider. These references are testimonials that say things about you that a client testimonial often cannot. You know, I spent decades running window works with Vincennes, right? And if a consumer had ever once called me and asked me for a reference about a designer that we work with, I could have told them plenty, not about his or her taste, about their character, whether they paid their invoices on time, whether they told the truth when something went wrong, whether their word was worth anything. That's the realest possible read on a person's integrity, coming from someone who's worked with them and watched them operate under pressure, not just someone who appreciated and valued their finished design, right? Okay, go with me now and put your consumer hat back on. Have you ever once, in vetting anyone, a roofer, an event planner for your daughter's wedding, a medical provider, a travel agent, anyone ever, have you ever once asked to see their net invoices for the product or service you are buying from them? Ever once? Hey, Dr. Ortho Guy, what's your net cost on that hip you're putting in me? Hey, Mr. Roofer, I'm going to need to see your net invoices for the materials before I sign that agreement with you. Hey, Mr. Car Mechanic, I see your invoice to me for the brakes is $750, but before I pay you, I'm going to need to see your invoices from the auto supply company. Get the heck out of here with that. I mean, really? Come on, every one of them would stare at you blankly and ask you, what in the world are you talking about? But not us. Not our industry. We dance, we hem, we haw, we cave. And when we get a genuine, newsworthy case of a criminal in our midst, we don't focus on the outrage at the bad apple in our community. We turn around and infer that we are the ones who are making it hard for consumers to trust us because we don't open our books, that somehow we only are trustworthy if we're financially naked. Stop. I mean, just stop. I would have preferred that the article condemn the criminal, the unethical behavior, and then in noting all of the disparaging comments the public made on social media, actually give the consumers that list. Teach consumers how they can know before handing over tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, that a designer is trustworthy. Give them the list I mentioned before: licensing, degrees, where it applies, trade affiliations, to ask for both client and trade references, a real track record you can verify, legit things that point to your credibility, to your track record in business, and to your business's stability. Right? I mean, come on. There's an opportunity missed. Now, taking a breath, even though that article didn't give consumers or us the kind of clear, useful way to vet a designer's trustworthiness, variations of what I just laid out, it did put 3 specific separate things on the table. So I'm going to turn my attention back to it and actually pick these 3 things apart, because I think that's where there's some more confusion happening. Number 1, the article discussed there's an accusation of fraud. A person allegedly took money and didn't do the work. If so, that's criminal. Yay article, documented, reported, I'm in agreement. Number 2, there's the topic of professionalism. There was discussion about communication, contracts, expectations, showing up when you say you will. Yes, yes, check, and please give me more of those things. 100% agreement. Number 3, then there's the business model conversation. Adding to this conversation, whether you disclose your net costs, whether a client sees your markup, suggesting, actually recommending that you hand someone shared access to your bank account, even if it is view only. These 3 are not the same problem, and they don't earn the same fix. For a moment, let's test that third one, specifically the shared bank account with view access, because I don't want to just react. I want to reason through it with you. Would, number 1, it have helped in this specific case that the article is about? And the answer is yes, to some degree. If that client could have watch the account sit untouched for months with no activity, no purchasing on their behalf, the client probably could have acted sooner in confronting the designer or in suing the designer. I'll give you that, 1,000%. But notice what it actually means. It means detection might have come a little faster. It doesn't mean that theft wouldn't have happened. The moment the client asked for their money back and the designer refused, that's the crime. No login changes that decision. In that earlier dispute that the article mentioned for that same designer, a label on that reserve account didn't stop her from this, right? According to the allegations, she just said, no, you can't have the money, right? So the structure doesn't stop a client, right? If you're a crook, you're a crook. Let's be real, okay? The thing is, interestingly, there is a profession already legally required to do something like this: keep client money separate. Attorneys are required in every state to keep client money separate from their own money. It's the law. But here's how they actually do it, and it's worth learning from them. Law firms don't open a separate account for every client. They keep one pooled trust account. But inside that account, they track to the penny exactly whose money is whose. A firm holding $50 million across 300 clients knows precisely how much belongs to each client. One check might come in for $300,000, they log it to that client. And then $150,000 gets earmarked toward that client's costs, logged again. The clients can ask for reporting on their money, which is valid. But it is one account, meticulously internal bookkeeping, not a separate account or a client login with live see-only access to make the record keeping true. And by the way, when a lawyer steals, and it happens, the response is disciplinary. That lawyer gets disbarred and prosecuted. You know what doesn't happen? Nobody infers that every honest lawyer should open their trust account to public view. Yeah, that part doesn't happen. For the record, this is the model that I suggest that you use. It's the model I recommend for all of my chairman of the board clients. It is that separate account, a furniture and fixtures account. But here's the thing. It works like the law counts, right? Say you sell a client $300,000 worth of furniture and your cost is $150,000. By the way, notice I didn't say your cost is $222,000 because $222,000 cost of goods on $300,000 means you did a 35% markup. And if you tell me that's what you did, now we have to have a separate conversation where I have to lose my cool about all of that too. So we're not going to go down that road right now. We're going to go that you put $300,000 in and your cost of goods was $150,000. Okay, so your $300,000 goes in. $150 gets pulled out to your furniture account. It is earmarked for the purchases of that particular client and nothing else. Also from the $300,000, you pull out what you'll owe on taxes for that transaction and you put it into your tax account. If you have a profit account, if you're following profit first, you're pulling a percentage out and putting into your profit account. The remainder stays in your operations account. Okay? And let's be clear, that's not leftover money. That's the money that runs your actual business, the payroll, the rent, the insurance, your professional fees, your trips to High Point. Okay? This is the interior design version of a profit first business model, which I love. Your obligations to the client are covered before you look at a single dollar and say, hey, look at all the money I have. No. You have $300,000, you have $150,000, but really don't have $150 because you have your taxes and then you have your profit, right? What's left is yours to run the business on. That's your money. Now, notice what this system does not include. It does not include a login. It does not include a client watching over your shoulder all up in your business. It's clean because it's smart bookkeeping. It's the same discipline a law firm applies without ever needing to open the account to public view. Now, let's talk about the thing that always gets me riled, the number itself, your net cost, and why I do not and cannot foresee ever being okay with an industry standard or industry rhetoric that thinks you're obligated to reveal it. Because here's what we're going to do, my friend. Right now, we're going to actually take a step back and look at our industry. All of the channels, not just your channel, the channel from you to the consumer. How about the channel from your supplier to you? When you order from Cravit or Visual Comfort or Century or any of the other wonderful companies in our industry, you get designer wholesale price. It may be tiered based on your volume, but it is their price to you. I want to ask you, when was the last time you asked any of them what it costs to manufacture that piece of furniture or import that fabric or that lamp or that rug? The answer is never. Never in your life have you ever looked at a single one of our suppliers in the industry and said, I'm going to need to know what it costs you to make that piece. Oh, yeah, I'll pay you what you're asking, but you need to disclose to me your cost. I mean, it's patently absurd. Wholesale is the number you're entitled to because they are wholesale and you are retail. And here's the kicker and the point of all of this: because you don't know their manufacturing costs, you have never once considered this a factor in their trustworthiness, have you? So think about this. This is an industry that is consistently perpetrating this idea that you, as the designer, have to reveal or should reveal your net costs. But you know what? It's a funny thing because there are a lot of players in this industry, but you're the only one anyone thinks it's your obligation to do in order to be running a trustworthy business. Think about that. Think about our industry. Think about your tiny little cog in this industry. And there's no one else that even talks about, should we ask these manufacturers and these fabricators? I mean, come on. Why is it that the biggest and the brightest and the loudest leaders in our industry, all across the board, have some version of this conversation going on? But you know what? It's not applied to them. Just you. And I don't mean to say I'm the only one talking about this. I know for a fact I'm not. But it's me and the voices that stand with me that are not loud enough. Just the fact that this article went right from a legitimate alleged crime to an observation on whether or not you reveal your pricing to your clients at net. What is that? Did they all, to me, like, nobody does it. RH doesn't do it. Nobody does it. But you're supposed to? Come on. I just don't understand how you're not as pissed as I am about all of this. I really don't. Here's the thing. The umbrella business concept for all of us is that wholesale price, and the better you get wholesale prices, better when you increase your volume. They were never there and awarded to you to be handed to your client. This concept was not invented so that you could be a discount machine for the retail consumer. They were designed to reward you, to incentivize you. Back. A vendor might give you 20 off or 50 or 60 if you're at top tiers because you're bringing them reliable repeat business. They gave it to you because you have demonstrated to them they don't have to spend money to go find you. They are saying, you keep buying from me, girlfriend, and I'll keep making it worth your while. That is a wholesale mechanism. That is business 101, right? And it's true at all levels of business. I'm going to tell you a true story. The Vincenzo and I have restaurants that we go to so often that when the bill comes, the owner, who is typically at the register at these couple of restaurants, he just rounds it down for us. So if we ate that night and it was $67.50, we get the bill from the waiter and it says $67.50. Vinny goes up to the register and the owner says, hey, Vin, give me $50. Right? We can go to the same restaurant and we can have the whole family there. And Vin gets we get the bill from the waiter and it says $248. And the guy says, Vin, give me $200. Right? There's no wholesale structure behind that. But this is just an owner who knows his regulars, who's decided that keeping us coming back is worth more to him than a few extra dollars every time we're there. Right? Because we have choices. We could go to that restaurant or that restaurant. And he knows it. And that's the same with your vendors. You go a lot, they give you more off. You go a little, they give you a little off. That's wholesale, my friend. Okay? It's not extra money for you to go give to your client. It's that vendor saying, I'm going to protect and invest in my relationship with you as the person who takes my product to market. Okay? That's what business is. A business person buys wholesale and sells retail. That's the entire foundation of commerce. And you are entitled to it exactly the same as every vendor you have ever bought from in your interior design firm. Right? Now, here's why you struggle with this. It's not because your consumers are unusually difficult. It is because we, as an industry, keep entertaining a conversation no other industry entertains, period. Whether you are in LA or Charlotte or London, designers everywhere are having the same conversation because we allow it to be a conversation. And because articles, frankly, like this one, come along and give it oxygen, treating it as a legitimate question rather than calling it out for the absurdity that it is. So, if you're struggling and you're listening to me, and you have a client that wants to see your invoices, there's nothing wrong with you. There is something wrong with our industry because the industry collectively has simply never said no freaking way. Right? Now, before I close, I want to take a moment to define a word for you. Yes, it's my definition, but it's my show. Because I also think that this word is part of the problem. And that word is transparency. It used to mean something simple. Tell your client when you'll invoice. Explain your process so there are no surprises 3 months in. Lay out how your model works before they ever sign. Are you flat fee? Are you hourly? Are you combination? That's transparency. I'm going to tell you before you sign on the dotted line how this project will run. But somewhere along the way, it started to mean something else. Transparency means open your books, show your wholesale invoices, prove you're honest by handing over your net costs line by line. These are two different things wearing the same word. So, be transparent about your process, your timeline, when you will invoice, how you will invoice, and why you will invoice. That's your job. But in my opinion, you are not required to hand over your net cost. That's not what the word means, no matter how many times someone or this industry tries to redefine it. So, the answer to fraud in our industry, my friend, is not, in my opinion, radical transparency under that definition. The answer to fraud in our industry and any industry is professionalism. And it is the confidence to say your price out loud and mean it. And it is doing what you will do, saying what you will do, and doing what you said you will do. It is communicating before they have to ask or before they're wondering. And it is stop apologizing for the fact that you charge money for the products and the services you provide. I mean, honestly, can we just finally all stop apologizing for being a business? Thank you for listening. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.